Has there ever been a time where you're just playing Catan with some really skilled Catan player and you just feel like they always get the role that they want most? Well, there is actually reasoning behind that. So stay tuned and watch this video. That is because they made an intelligent move and decided to place on higher probability numbers, like 8s and 6s, rather than 2s and 12s. So by placing on higher probability numbers, the numbers or hexes that you're on will produce more yields. This way, you will be able to have more resources convert into more roads, settlements, cities, or development cores, or literally anything you want to spend resources on. More cities, development cards, etc. leads to victory. So, let's dive into probability and where to place because of probability. We know that probability exists now. We know about probability, but exactly what are the probability? Well, as you can see above, the roll of a 2 is a 1/36 chance. The roll of a 3 is a 2/36 chance. The roll of a 4 is a 3/36 chance. The roll of a 5 is a 4/36 chance. And it keeps going like that up until 7, and then it starts going down. So in Catan, since we want to make a lot of yields and place on really high probability hexes, we're going to want to place on 6, 7s, and 8s. Now let's dive into the mathematical reasoning behind probability. When we roll one die, then there's a 1/6 chance that we will roll any number between 1 and 6. But in Catan, we roll 2 dice. So there are two 1/6 chances, which makes a 1/36 chance for each number. Except there are multiple different ways to make certain numbers. So then it will become 2/36, 3/36, even 4/36, etc., all the way up until 6/36. So, I hope you understand the probability, but now let's talk about how to use it in our game. So what you're looking at right now is a Catan board analyzer. What a Catan board analyzer shows is the amount of probability of all of the numbers around it out of 36 added up. So, for example, if we look at a 13 would be made up of its surroundings adding up to 13 out of 37 probability getting rolled. So like there's a 13 on the board where there's a 6, a 5, and a 9. So if we look at that 13 vertex, then we can see that it is 4 out of 36 plus 5 out of 36 plus 4 out of 36, which adds up to 13. So it shows a really good spot right there. While you can also see a 1 at the edge of the 12 of rocks in the bottom left. So this Catan board analyzer allows you to kind of look and compare and contrast different areas of a board, but I would not recommend every board you see, every new board you look at, putting it into the Catan board analyzer. Not an optimal idea. If you're playing with a turn timer, it's going to run out. Your opponents are going to get annoyed that you're just staring at this Catan board analyzer, choosing where to pick. It takes a while to set up the board on the board analyzer. It's just an interesting thing to look at so you can think about the different probabilities of the vertexes. Now let's look at a real photo from a game I played recently. I was yellow in this game, and when looking at this board, I placed on 8, 5s, and 10s. Extremely high probability. If you looked at this on the Catan board analyzer, these would have been both 12s, which are pretty strong areas in vertexes to place on. A quick way to figure out what it would be in the Catan board analyzer, or anything, is by looking at the dots underneath each number. For example, underneath the 8, or any 8 really that you look at on the board, there will be 5 dots. Well, when you look at a 2, there's 1 dot. This is the probability out of 36. So you can just add up the dots of the areas around one of your settlements to figure out how much it would be in the Catan board analyzer. So in this case, both of my settlements were on 12s, which is pretty strong. That means that 1/3 of the time I will be getting resources off of these settlements, which is actually pretty often because I have 2 settlements. I'll be getting resources after 2/3 of all the rolls, which is pretty good. So make sure that you place on really strong numbers, because the more frequently things get rolled, the more resources you have. The more resources you have, the more cities, development cards, settlements, and roads you have, the more production, and that leads to victory. Now, let's do the ultimate quiz show. Now let's do the dice probability quiz show. In the dice probability quiz show, we will be counting the odds of rolling a 7. If you know what the odds of rolling a 7 are, you get 100 points. If you know what the probability of rolling 2 6s consecutively is, you get 200 points. If you know what the chance of rolling only even number, just an even number, then you get 300 points. Now, let's see what you get. Post the amount of points that you got in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.